Welcome to the SEO Insider with your host, Seth Price, founder of BluShark, taking you inside the world of legal marketing and all things digital.
Welcome, everybody. We are very excited to have you here on the SEO Insider with Jeremy from Coolfire Studios, longtime friend of the show, one of the more entertaining people. If you ever have a chance to spend Halloween with Jeremy, I highly recommend it. Although he doesn't really need Halloween to dress up. I just show up to random parties and there he is as the elf. So
that's right.
It is great to have you here, Jeremy. Welcome.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me back, Seth. I think that shows I must have done something right on the first time on here, but we've got a lot of exciting things to talk about around AI videos really exploding. We're coming off PimCon, fun having helped MC that event. And how about Nikki Glaser, huh, Seth? Wow. She was definitely
it was really
spicy.
So obviously, she put on a great show. Although the 20 minutes of, I don't want to go into the details of it, her last 20 minutes were tough. They were tough.
Yes,
but
stiff.
An incredible talent, one of my favorites. But I got to tell you, it was kind of humbling to see her at the meet and greet afterwards. They were kind enough to include me with the super VIPs, and I had to shake her hand. And what was so interesting, and this was like, again, she still was in hair and makeup from the show, but she seemed human. She's on stage. She seems superhuman. And she puts on this, she's decked out. She talks a lot about all the work that she does to make herself look that way. And then we're sitting there and I'm like, oh, that's really the girl next door who happens to go through a bunch of stuff in order to do it. So I don't know if you had the same reaction, but I got to. Yeah,
absolutely. She's a Missouri girl. She's from St. Louis, like Chris Dreyer's over there from Illinois, like myself. The rankings and PimCon and everything. So yeah, it was awesome that they were able to get her, and we've worked up there at Coolfire Studios on some different shows and things. She's been in my RV when she was filming her show. So the Nikki Glaser connection grows very strong. But yeah, it was a fun PimCon for sure. I'm here right now at Fireproof. Mike Morris land here. We're out in Scottsdale. Was just at his place last night talking AI video and strategy. He's doing some fun things around AI, and I think everybody's a little bit AI video curious. Isn't that the dream, Seth?
Yeah, right. No, so look, right now, the old playbook was you sit in a studio with a green screen, you talk to some stuff, and and then the question is are we going to not laugh, but is that going to be passé at some point? That what we can do with limited budget and it can be so much more interesting than the traditional green screen video shoot. Are we, everybody knows AI is going to change the world, right? It's clear. We're seeing it work where we're talking incrementally about how is it going to move work along. But when it comes to video, that's the area where these prompts are insane. You say, hey, take Seth and Jeremy and have them be at the tearing down of the Berlin Wall, and and you can create stuff. Just the beautiful mind that is Jeremy can now be translated into video in a way that before would have taken beyond budget that's available. So talk to me a little bit about what is the current state of AI video for commercials, and where do you see it going?
We're calling screenburn.ai for those in video. They know what a screenburn is. So fascinating around here as far as some early theories on what I'm seeing in the marketplace for what we're doing for folks like our mutual friend Jim Onder Law, who's come out of the gate strong with some of the AI videos. And let me say, I know it's every attorney's dream to not have to show up and read teleprompter and be in the studio, but that's where we get into some of the ethics, right? And that's where we have to, as creators, hold a line and say, if you're trying to build trust in a marketplace, you can't replicate the authenticity of, going into different community places. So we're learning where and where not to use AI. So where I see it really performing, and we're trying to position Screenburn, is AI for primetime, right? We all see the commercials over broadcast, whatever TV is defined as to you, right? Whatever that is whether that's, YouTube on TV, connected TV. And Seth, what this allows is that commercial that your attorneys have been running for 6 months, more or longer, we can be relevant. We can create creative that is customized for an audience that's watching daytime TV versus primetime TV, all of the different things. And where I'm seeing the most resonance with audiences is on television. A lot of this stuff, when you throw it up on social, it's kind of cool to, bag on AI. But where I see it is it's allowing attorneys to be part of the conversation. It's allowing them to have fresh creative. And where I also see it is helping out. It's like stock footage on steroids, right? I was just talking to a firm that has always wanted to do a semi truck rolled over in a blizzard, but obviously cost prohibitive. You never do that. So
you can hold prompts. You got it.
Yeah, now you can do that. So there's so many things that it's good at.
So look, using this is, in one sense, it's going to be cost. It's going to be rapid response. Where if you want to do a Halloween one, great. If you want to do Thanksgiving, it's like these things are going to come fast and furious. Where National Redhead Day, if in fact people are following on social, sons and daughter, stuff that before you wouldn't be able to pivot. Let me ask you this though, historically, and I've been as a guy who's built his career in digital, I don't say TV has always been that frontier where I'm always shocked. While there are a few examples, and I use Mike Morris as a great one of a guy who's done some interesting TV ads that are not the best. Call me, but so many people have made a very good living off nonsensical direct response TV ads in front of a green screen that are not particularly creative. How much? And this is where the question is. Just like when we go back to the Wendy's Where the Beef, that was it. That was a breakthrough because a funny commercial made money, whereas. There's always been the sort of a stigma that when you're funny, it's not as memorable. So the question is, be careful what you ask for. There's no doubt you can do this personalization. And I can't wait to see the handiwork you do because you're one of the most creative people I know. But is there, it's going to be great in that it will resonate and hopefully they'll be interested in something going on. You could literally do something about turning the clocks back, whatever's in somebody's mind. And that it won't be the same commercial every day, but is there some benefit when it is? As much as people get upset, is there a benefit when it's the same commercial on repeat?
Well, I find you can reinforce that brand message multiple times, whether it's Mike wins or Onder wins. And I'll show you an example where I do think more direct response and something customized too. Forgive me, that's our sizzle reel, which we can play with later. But we did, for instance, tornadoes rip through St. Louis. So we were able to turn around a storm ad that is environments. And all of this, what I'm going to show you is generative AI. There wasn't a single, camera set up. And we were able to turn things around for Jim Onder and really reinforce, to your point, that Onder wins, right? And so we've been putting Onder wins on steroids in the St. Louis market, whether that's creating, football parodies around the season. What are folks talking about? You named off 5 great ones, for social, but being able to be that fast on television is not something audiences are used to. And I think a lot of my attorneys are stuck on, does it look exactly like me? Is it look, it just has to look enough like you. If it's moving, if the humor, if the messaging is working, I don't think there's an area that AI video can't help when it comes to something a little more serious or something that's a little more brand reinforcing. So I'll share some examples here.
And a number of times when there's been a major catastrophe in the DC market where man, I want you to get ads out. It is a way to get those out quickly.
1,000%.
Well, football season is upon us once again.
And Jim Onder has already delivered a highlight reel for the ages.
Onder with the interception,
And he takes it all the way to the house.
And at halftime, forget Rihanna. Onder grabbed his guitar and absolutely shredded.
Fourth quarter, seconds on the clock. Onder calls his own number, touchdown.
that's the game winner right there. He doesn't just win on the field, he wins in the courtroom.
If you absolutely need to win, call Onder Law today.
Onder wins. Onder wins. We're going to reinforce that.
By the way, that last
football.
line, it shows. Look, it shows you. I can't believe that that's allowed in St. Louis. That's unbelievable. You absolutely have to win. You may want to check that one out, but or maybe not.
Thank you.
But,
He's got the bar on speed dial here, and now I'll
I'm
show
sure,
you.
but that's
right.
that is that may be a stretch. You do
Fair
this.
enough.
Let me know if that one made it. But look, I also know that you can you can overanalyze, and I'm definitely
for sure
guilty of that. You know,
we
we call
it
the greatest thing ever is if you got to change one line, How long would it take you to change that line out? Not a long time.
Oh, that would be like an hour. We've done it. We've got a hockey one coming up. So that's just more, a lot of attorneys, a lot of firms are involved in sports deals, right? NIL deals. So this is a way to leverage some of those sponsorships and get even more out of it than your usual, green screen or the athlete
and that's
there.
me in that we've done this deal with the Commanders. Likely by next season, we're going to be like, you know what? We got that brand exposure with them. It's time to be able to take those dollars and put them into the actual media. We don't, get some inexpensive NILs and put those in the mix.
Yeah, you get it. You're a mastermind with some of this stuff. So I'll show you some other examples. I'll show you a little more of a serious side too.
It's hockey season once again, and Jim Onder is already winning.
Yeah. Onder setting the tone early with a big hit. Then things get really nasty. Onder dropping the gloves to send a message.
And in the third period, game tied late, and it's Jim Onder with the game-winning goal.
Jim Onder just can't stop winning, and it is truly remarkable. Call Onder Law today.
Every week, there's a new spot. You're just outmaneuvering the competition.
It's been months since the tornado tore through St. Louis, but for many families, the storm never ended. Insurance companies promised help. Instead, too many have denied, delayed, underpaid. You don't have to fight alone. Onder Law knows how to take on the insurance companies and win. We'll fight to get you every dollar you need and deserve. Call Onder Law today. Time limits apply. 314 or 6189, all zeros.
So we were able to turn that one around and be relevant and there when people needed us for that stuff. So it's been a great time. We've been doing work with Tim Miley, Miley Legal out of West Virginia, having some fun with some hybrid concepts. So I think what is really fascinating, Seth, is the combination too of things like the consumption of YouTube, regular YouTube on television. A lot of people even subscribe to the YouTube TV sort of cable replacement. So I think that's a way for smaller firms to use AI video, get involved in bumpers, 30-second complimentary spots on something that won't exactly break the bank for broadcast. So that's how I'm using it with folks like Charlie Thurman out of Chicago. So it's a tool in the toolbox. It's not meant to replace the good old-fashioned testimonials. Nothing will replace, going out in the community and showing yourself there. But I think it's very exciting, and I think attorneys can get ahead of the game and wield it. But I think it works for multiple industries.
What are your thoughts on broadcast TV right now, and whether or not the eyeballs are there versus, these digital plays? Historically, OTT, I sort of was like, nobody's making money there. The question is, if that's where the eyeballs are moving, what can you do where you're not getting ripped off by the TV stations that are just like, oh shit, we're not selling the broadcast, we need to find a new widget very profitably. What's the, how should somebody look at that balance between traditional broadcast and what is traditional broadcast? If you're watching on YouTube TV or Fubo or one of these others, I've been playing around, right? I moved myself we cut the cord, we're on YouTube TV,
Smart.
Good, it's still $1,000 a year. And then I realized, with the exception of sports and news, we're not watching TV at this point, right? So
you just said it. It's event programming. It's appointment viewing.
Right. So I've been personally playing, and you don't do stuff based on what you're doing, but if I'm doing it now, and the young people are already doing this, you can get CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, NBC Nightly News, most sports, and especially if you know somebody who's still using a traditional one where you can get their logins, you're sort of like, they're not using the login. So it's somebody with a cable setup. You almost, if you're willing to put a little bit of effort in, you can get 95% without it. So the question is, as people move away from, the four major networks and cable, the traditional model, can you get the eyeballs at a cost-effective rate that monetize into cases, or is there still value with the people that are sitting at home with cable and broadcast and court TV and court shows during the day?
Right. Yeah. And by all means, I'm no media buyer, but I can tell you what I'm seeing on the front lines. And to your point, it's all fragmented audiences now. So where I get excited about AI video is being able to tailor messages to folks who are watching game shows during the day or, soap operas and things. And to your point, the demographics who are watching what we call traditional TV. They're my father, at 82 years old, who's never going to figure out his Roku, or Roku as he calls it. So that, folks, I think it would be a huge mistake to pull everything from television as far as the traditional broadcast, but you use the B word and it's balance. And I think diversifying that into more emerging technologies, you look at a platform like Hulu, you look at the targeting levels. I think connected TV and programmatic is finally maturing. I think you are starting to see it, but where that real battle is at the end of the day. It's SEO, it's PPC, it's people going to those websites and where you're going. So it's not just one magic bullet channel.
But let's stay with this. I mean, I'm going to sort of brainstorm while I have you here. If you're doing daytime novellas, next thing you know, you could have your own novella, of course, which mirrors the type of programming you can do. If you're doing court, daytime court shows, you can have your own parody of that. Is that going to make people stay tuned rather than tune out? That's the question. Can you do stuff?
I think it stands out. And I think it stands out and it just gets your attention. And we think of what we all do, passive viewing. We go make a cup of coffee. We go do something while the television is on. That's the world I love to play in, is how can we stand out in a more competitive landscape than ever? What can attorneys be doing to get their message out? And it takes time, and obviously it takes money and pressure. And it's, a brand like Brown and Crouppen out of St. Louis was built over decades, and Terry Crouppen and things. That's something every, whether you're new on the block or, Onder Law is newer to the PI space. So they've got a lot of work to do on that front. But what we're seeing is it just stands out above, and you can compete with the big boys like a Morgan & Morgan coming in. You can have production quality that, mirrors some of that. So I think, spreading this out, I'm seeing a lot, and particularly on YouTube. I think that is very powerful. When we started promoting things 10 years ago, there were still devices were laptops and Xboxes and things. And now the explosion of smart TVs that are watching YouTube, that's what we watch in our household as far as just turning it on, passive viewing. I think that's an exciting opportunity, again, to use those bumpers and to get in TV. So I think it's all diversifying. I think you've got to have your bases covered. I think, for a lot of young people, just Instagram, social, TikTok is just sort of a check and to see if you're real.
Right,
and at the end of the day,
But if you could make this stuff an X% go viral, and I saw some great skiing ones from some creative people. It seems that if we can get to the point where, because that's the difference. My kids don't watch commercials, right?
100%.
And when they have one, it's totally. So if you're going to be part of the conversation and you're not part of the entertainment, you got problems.
Yeah, and that's why a generation of lawyers are doing so well who film themselves, and that's something AI cannot replicate. And I would not do ethics.
I don't know. You don't think it can?
Oh, I think it can, but I don't know if you should. And that's a level of...
Why not? Why?
I've never been an attorney.
Usually I'm on the other side.
You're the fake attorney.
Well, it's not a fake attorney. What if it's you, but you just don't have to sit there and do the work? It's your words. You've typed them in.
Yeah, I think something around narration would be okay, but I'd be very hesitant to do, we do a series with Tim Miley, Tiger Talks, where he talks about, it's, the top 5 things to do after an accident. I think that personalization and things, and that you feel like you're consulting folks, is something I'd be very hesitant to turn an attorney into AI. Now, you can have fun with them. They're playing football. Or let's just say, for instance, you had
So I'll give you the negative. So we did a Spanish ad, and they basically put me as a fluent Spanish speaker. We couldn't run it because it was too good. It was disingenuous, right?
¿Por qué?
I was just like,
because it was just so good. Yeah, right. That's how I would feel about AI Seth. Now, let me say, if for instance,
but if you're doing it, and it's you could also that would be the whole point of it, is that you're showing that it's AI. Do you know what I mean?
I think we're close.
If you embrace it, as opposed to just saying, you're not saying, hey, this is real, I'm fooling you. But if you just said, hey, this is your AI lawyer, if you think this guy's good, imagine when we hit the courtroom.
See, I like that. And that's what we've done with Tim Miley, where we've, we end with lines like, there's nothing artificial about the intelligence of Miley law. We do some of that for Jim Onder as well, where you're winking at the camera. What I love to do, let's just say you have a office mascot or something that perhaps is a dog.
Scout is our mascot, or
my did something like this where Scout, you showed who's the boss around there.
Exactly. That's the because to me, I'm like, how the hell do you differentiate? This is the type of stuff that goes viral.
Yeah, and I think the cadence of it, Seth. We've been doing some different work for other areas, and Car Shield is a client of ours, and we've been experimenting of what, they're known for Ice-T and Ric Flair. What do virtual spokespeople look like? Could there be, an armadillo animal that comes out and does something? So we're working on that and then get it out faster and have more cadence.
But look at the Onder one. You just had two sportscasters that you'd have to do NIL deals to do real, and instead you're able just to get words. You could check the box and move on to the next thing you need to deal with.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I'll show you a hybrid approach here that was very successful for Tim Miley. It speaks to your point around, being in on the joke. And this is a hyper-caffeinated executive played by myself. I typecast, and the lovely Sarah Hill from Brown and Crouppen, who stepped in when my co-star didn't make it. But I'll show you, this is an example of a little tongue-in-cheek and kind of what you're describing as far as having a good time with AI and turning it on its head, and has been a huge hit for Tim.
Highly legal in our office. Now we have what I call artificial intelligence.
So hot right now.
We can have Tim riding a tiger, shirtless, of course. I mean, he's got to be shirtless, right? Because that's how you go viral. You're walking into the insurance company. They're scared of the tiger, right? All other attorneys, they're just kittens compared to Miley Legal, the Tiger King. Can we use Tiger King? Can you check with legal?
I think we need some more ideas.
Okay, we can pivot.
Skip the AI and call Miley Legal today.
What's the Wi-Fi password?
Folks have been loving that one. And I got to tell you, Seth, my dream with Tim. What do you think?
You know what? Is it the greatest thing ever? Maybe, maybe not, but it gets people talking. It's different, and you're ahead of the curve.
And we have 6 of them in the can that we can film in one day. And for instance, I always wanted to do a campaign with him. Tim is the tiger, right? Tim Miley, the tiger. And I always wanted to do Hire the Tiger. And I looked into licensing, Eye of the Tiger, and going and filming. Well, we were able to do a, I'll say, Rocky parody ad for him using AI, and it came off great. And I want you to tell me how much you think this commercial would cost if we filmed it for real.
Okay, Miley Legal, we have another idea. Hire the tiger. Picture yourself, Tim, running through the streets of West Virginia. You're training for the big fight with the insurance company. You're punching bags of meat. You're in the ring fighting for your client, becoming that big verdict champion. And you say, "Hey, yo, Susan, we did it!"
I'm not sure we can legally do that.
Okay, we can check with legal.
Check with legal.
If your insurance case is a bit rocky, call Miley Legal today.
Having a blast with that. People are literally coming up to Susan inside grocery stores and saying, "Yo, Susan, we did it." So it just shows you the creativity that we can absolutely blast out of there. I know. I'm going to tell Mike Morris, like, here, just copy this, just use it. That's a real fun format that I think AI is such shorthand right now for fake, and sort of, but I'm telling you, there's so much creativity. The true filmmakers and creators understand that this is a tool in the toolbox that's not meant to replicate things. But Seth, I think of things like the custom testimonials, and I think, what can you do in AI for the recreation, for things that inspire, that show their story, to DH, to show folks what their life was like before this accident, to show, some of the impact. So I've never been in a more exciting time. I think, we've been doing a lot of fun stuff.
Because you've gone from being a creative guy to not just being creative, but having the tools to do things, whatever's in that beautiful mind of yours, to put it out there. The way that before people were like, yeah, that's great, but I don't have a budget. Now you're like, don't worry about that.
And it costs too much. Yeah, we ran into that and things a lot. Of course, we do, and that's never going to replace. We did an amazing campaign for Morgan Law Group. They're out of Florida. Thomas Morgan Jr. shot in front of an LED wall, had Zeus, love the ads. And that's something you'd never want to replicate. But then there are ways of, can we use Zeus with some of their, Miami sports deals in there? So it just is a way to extend the campaigns. I encourage folks, though, I hear a lot of firms are like, yeah, I got my video editor. He's looking into AI. We have a whole team that works on this stuff. The technology changes so fast. You definitely have to dedicate some folks to do that. We'll be happy to talk to anybody about it in our learnings, because it's fun to share knowledge. But I think we can really raise the game on a lot of legal marketing using AI video.
I can't get enough of those talking baby things. I don't know if you've seen them on.
I know, right? That's what we're seeing. Different genres, and we've experimented those with, Onder, and you see the Yetis.
Two babies talking about, like what they're going to do after an accident. And if somebody just stops what they're doing, that's the. So I love it.
We're seeing a lot of good stuff. Sweet James is doing some fun stuff. Yeah, DM is doing great. We'll send you over Scout. We got some notes on Scout. AI Scout's going to take over, and watch out, Seth. Scott will be hosting this podcast before too long.
Jeremy, I can't wait to see you next. Thank you so much for your time today. This has been great. Jeremy from Coolfire Studios. They are all over this stuff. Always the most creative guys in the space. And now I am just excited to see what you guys, the next steps for you and for all of this. So, guys, that's going to do it for us today, but can't wait for Jeremy to come back and more importantly, see you on the road. And, can't wait to see we'll make sure that we get some of these scout videos interspersed into this podcast.
Let's get them going. And Seth is always the nicest guy in the room. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to the SEO Insider with Seth Price. Be sure to check back next week for fresh insights into building your brand's online presence. Episodes are available to stream directly on BluShark Digital's website.